one thing that I appreciated, just to maybe to end it on a personal note, which I also said, I think in a comment to the conversation with Dieter Schindler, and that was really like, we always talk about these things like, okay, do they make sense, yes or no? And I really appreciated when you said like, yeah, but you mentioned like Dieter Schindler actually thinks we have to go back to going to church in some sense, like that authority in that sense is important. You mentioned that in the conversation, and then you said like, okay, but what do you think then about the John Vervaeke practices? Like because you're friends with him, and then it was like, well, it's like, we're gonna have to see how that pans out, but mostly I trust him. It's like, and that was so beautiful to me that I was like, and I have that too with John, that I'm like, oh yeah, I trust him to do the right thing. Like if it doesn't work out, it'll become clear. And I was like, yes, that's it. That's precisely what we're doing in this little corner. Like we're building up trust amongst each other. And then maybe sometimes it isn't justified and then, you don't fit into the corner. But essentially, if you're constantly opening yourself up for criticism, but not just criticism, like also like relationship, right? Like we build fellowship together. And then it's like, yeah, like do whatever, like go join whatever denomination you like. Like, you could be a Christian, you cannot be a Christian, but we basically trust you in some sense. And that's sort of this implicit ethic that is building underneath that. So I'm kind of curious to hear your reflections on that, because I thought that was a beautiful comment by him. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it ties back to what I briefly sketched at the beginning of the conversation. What we are committed to is this act of translation
Mm-hmm.
in a way that we realize that whatever we say, we don't know how that, is perceived. And it's always the sender receiver model problem around here.
Mm.
But at the same time, I have the feeling that we are building trust in that kind of translation.
Mm.
That if you say that he says what it is, I trust you to be correct on that. And I trust this community to call out anyone who's playing an unfair game about this. So basically, we are committed to, we judge them by their fruits. And the fruits are the result of a conscious act of trying to translate something that I have been thinking about, that others have been listening to, that someone has watched or read. And that already is very important just for the building community. Because that's another insane rabbit hole that you can go into. George Steiner.
Yeah.
Insane. After Babel, currently watching documentary, reading the book. It's amazing. But there he basically says that different languages may be evolved because these groups did not want to have anyone in those groups. It's like in-group out-group behavior. And what we're currently doing is we're tearing down those walls by saying, yeah, I know we talk differently, I know we listen differently, but we still want to see each other in the eye and try to talk to each other, even if we are not sure that the translating act will be successful. But we put trust into that act because we trust the individuals on the other side of the wall that they will take up what we say and they will do something good out of it.
Yeah. Right.
I will say that was beautiful. I hope someone clips that. That was really nice.
Oh gosh.